Have you ever gotten an invitation to go out and felt immediate relief when you found a good reason to say no? Not because you dislike the person who invited you, not because the event sounds terrible, but because staying home just sounds better. Someone asks, "What did you do this weekend?" And you say, "Not much," like it's an apology, when the truth is, you had a perfect weekend, at home in comfortable clothes, doing exactly what you wanted without having to perform for anyone. And you know people think there's something wrong with that, but there isn't. Is there? This isn't just laziness or social anxiety, though people often assume it is. This is something deeper, more psychologically complex, and far more common than most people admit. The genuine preference for staying home over going out, when your own space feels better than any other space, when alone time isn't something you tolerate, it's something you crave and protect, when the idea of a night in brings more joy than the idea of a night out. It affects millions of people in a world that treats staying home like it's something to fix, overcome, or apologize for. Understanding this psychology reveals something uncomfortable about modern culture's relationship with socializing, productivity, and what it means to live a full life. That for some people, home isn't where they retreat from life, it's where they actually live it. That staying in isn't avoidance of experiences, it's the experience they prefer. That enjoying solitude doesn't mean something is wrong with you, no matter how many people suggest it does. When researchers study people who genuinely enjoy staying home, they discover something fascinating. These aren't depressed people hiding from the world, though that's often the assumption. They're people whose nervous systems are wired to recharge in solitude and feel drained by external stimulation. Their brains process social interaction, noise, crowds, and constant activity differently, not as energizing or exciting, but as exhausting. Home is an escape. It's where they function best, think clearest, and feel most like themselves. But how does someone develop this strong preference for staying home? The path to being a homebody isn't always about avoiding pain or difficulty. Sometimes it's just about discovering what actually feels good versus what you're told should feel good. Maybe as a child you noticed that after social events, you felt tired and irritable, not energized. While other kids couldn't wait for the next party or sleepover, you couldn't wait to get back home where things were quiet, predictable, familiar. Or perhaps you grew up in a chaotic household where home wasn't peaceful, so you didn't develop this preference until adulthood. The first time you lived alone, you discovered something revolutionary, that home could be exactly what you wanted it to be. Quiet when you wanted quiet. Your routines, your schedule, your space arranged how you liked it. And once you experienced that, the outside world with all its noise, demands, and unpredictability became less appealing by comparison. Each of these experiences creates what psychologists call environment preference, not avoidance of external spaces, but genuine attraction to your own space. Your brain learned that home provides something other places don't. Control over your environment, freedom from social performance, the ability to exist without constantly monitoring how you're being perceived. These aren't signs of dysfunction. They're signs that you've discovered what environment allows you to thrive. Over time, this preference becomes stronger and more defined. You start recognizing that most social activities leave you feeling drained, not fulfilled. That weekends spent at home feel restorative, while weekends with packed social schedules feel exhausting. That the FOMO, fear of missing out, that other people experience doesn't really apply to you. You're not afraid of missing out. You're afraid of being forced to go out when you'd rather be home. People who enjoy staying home develop a complicated relationship with social expectations. They know they're supposed to want to go out, supposed to enjoy parties and events, supposed to have active social lives, but they don't. And that creates constant pressure to either force themselves to be someone they're not, or defend their preference to people who see it as a problem to solve. Neither option feels good. This creates patterns that others find hard to understand. They turn down invitations and people assume they're depressed or antisocial. They spend weekends alone and people worry about them when they're actually having exactly the kind of weekend they wanted. They say, "I'm just going to stay in," and people respond with concern or attempts to convince them otherwise, as if staying home is something that needs intervention. The irony is profound. People who enjoy staying home aren't necessarily lonely, depressed, or disconnected. They often have rich internal lives, creative pursuits, meaningful relationships with a few close people, and genuine contentment with their lifestyle. But in a culture that equates going out with living and staying in with giving up, their preference gets pathologized. They're not living differently, they're living wrong, according to social standards they never agreed to. The internal world of someone who enjoys staying home is often rich, engaged, and satisfying. While they're at home, they're not sitting in existential dread. They're reading books that change how they think, creating art, music, or writing, learning new skills, enjoying hobbies that require focus and solitude, having deep conversations with the few people they actually want to talk to, thinking, processing, existing in ways that external stimulation would interrupt. Home isn't where life stops, it's where their life happens most fully. This creates a peculiar split between internal experience and external perception. Internally, they feel content, engaged, fulfilled. Externally, people see them as isolated, missing out, potentially depressed. They know they're fine. Others are convinced they're not. The gap between how they experience their life and how others interpret it creates constant low-level pressure to justify or defend choices that feel completely natural to them. The relationship with social energy becomes clear and manageable when you accept your preference. They understand that they have limited social battery. Going out drains it. Being home recharges it. They're not antisocial. They're selectively social. They enjoy people in small doses, specific contexts, with adequate recovery time built in. They're not avoiding connection. They're managing their energy in ways that allow them to show up better when they do connect. This affects how they structure their lives and relationships in intentional ways. They create homes they genuinely love being in. They develop routines that work with their energy patterns rather than against them. They form friendships with people who understand that declining an invitation isn't personal rejection. They stop apologizing for preferences that feel healthy and right to them. They build lives that other people might not understand, but that work perfectly for who they are. What makes this particularly interesting is how it challenges cultural narratives about what a good life looks like. Culture says a good life is full calendar, full social schedule, constantly doing, going, experiencing. But for people who enjoy staying home, a good life is different. It's spacious, quiet, predictable in the best way. It's having nothing you have to do and nowhere you have to be. It's time to think, create, rest without the constant stimulation that others need, but they find exhausting. The pressure to be more social is constant and comes from everywhere. Family asks when you'll settle down, get out more, make more friends. Friends ask why you never want to hang out anymore, as if your preference for limited social interaction is a commentary on them rather than information about your needs. Society treats introversion and homebodies like problems to overcome rather than valid ways of being. Physical and mental health actually improve for many people when they honor their preference for staying home rather than fighting it. Forcing themselves to be social when they don't want to creates anxiety, exhaustion, and resentment. Allowing themselves to stay home when that's what they need creates peace, restoration, and genuine well-being. The problem isn't their preference. The problem is being told their preference is wrong. Modern culture's emphasis on experiences, adventure, and constant activity makes homebodies feel defective. Social media shows everyone traveling, partying, having adventures. The message is clear. If you're not constantly doing things worth posting about, you're not living fully. But people who enjoy staying home reject this completely. They're living fully, just quietly, in ways that don't photograph well or create interesting stories for Monday morning, in ways that don't translate to social media but feel deeply satisfying in real life. The comparison to more extroverted people becomes tiresome rather than painful. They watch people need constant social stimulation and don't judge them for it. That's just how those people are wired. But somehow, their own wiring is seen as wrong, limited, something to fix. Why is needing to go out constantly seen as healthy while preferring to stay home is seen as problematic? Both are just different nervous systems with different needs. Time feels different when you're not constantly filling it with external activities. Hours can pass at home, and it doesn't feel like wasted time. It feels like actual living. Reading for 3 hours isn't doing nothing. Working on a creative project isn't being isolated. Enjoying a quiet evening isn't missing out. They're engaged with life, just their version of life, not someone else's. Yet within this preference for home, something important often exists. People who enjoy staying home often develop depth that constant external stimulation can interrupt. They think deeply because they have time and space to think. They know themselves well because they spend time with themselves. They create things that require sustained focus. They have capacity for solitude that many people never develop. These are valuable qualities, even if culture doesn't treat them that way. This creates a paradox. Society tells them their preference limits them, when actually, honoring that preference allows them to develop in ways constant social obligation would prevent. They're not missing out on life by staying home. They're having the kind of life that works for their specific wiring. The people who think they're missing out are often measuring fullness by completely different standards, but recognizing that their preference is valid doesn't make external pressure disappear. Family still expresses concern. Friends still try to drag them out. Society still treats staying home like something that needs fixing. They still have to defend, explain, or apologize for choices that feel completely natural. The exhaustion isn't from being home, it's from constantly justifying being home to people who can't understand it. The anticipation of social events they don't want to attend becomes its own stress. They see an invitation and immediately start calculating, can I decline without causing problems? Is this important enough that I have to go? How long do I have to stay before I can leave without being rude? They're doing social math that more extroverted people never have to do, managing their energy in ways others don't understand. Their internal voice has learned to defend their choices against constant external criticism. Sometimes it's confident. I'm fine. This is how I'm wired. I'm allowed to prefer home. Sometimes it doubts. Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I should force myself to be more social. Maybe everyone else is right and I'm missing something important. The voice fluctuates between self-acceptance and wondering if they should change themselves to fit expectations they never asked for. The concept of self-care becomes clear and simple when you accept your nature. For extroverts, self-care might mean going out, connecting with people, being active. For people who enjoy staying home, self-care means protecting their alone time, creating space to recharge, saying no to things that drain them. Neither is more valid. They're just different, but only one gets pathologized. Friendships evolve when you stop pretending you're someone you're not. Some friends fall away when you stop forcing yourself to meet their social needs. The friends who stay are the ones who accept that you'll see them less frequently, but show up fully when you do. Quality over quantity isn't just a saying, it's how your social life actually functions. A few close friends you see sometimes is better than many acquaintances you feel obligated to constantly engage with. So if you genuinely enjoy staying home, if going out feels like a chore rather than a treat, if your perfect weekend involves no plans and no one, know that you're not defective, depressed, or wasting your life. You're someone whose nervous system functions best with less external stimulation, whose energy recharges in solitude, whose life is full even when it's quiet. The psychology behind enjoying staying home reveals something both validating and important about human diversity and energy management. That not everyone is wired for constant social engagement. That introversion and preference for home aren't problems to fix. They're variations in how humans are built. That a quiet life isn't a lesser life. That staying home isn't settling. It's choosing what actually feels good over what you're told should feel good. But understanding this psychology also reveals freedom and possibility. You don't have to live according to someone else's definition of full, exciting, or meaningful. You don't have to apologize for having different needs than extroverted people. You don't have to force yourself to be social in ways that drain you to prove you're okay. You can just be who you are, someone who thrives at home and struggles in constant social situations without shame or justification. Because awareness of your true needs is liberation. When you understand that preferring home isn't dysfunction, avoidance, or limitation, it's just your wiring, you can stop fighting it, stop apologizing for it, stop wondering if something is wrong with you, start building a life that works for who you actually are rather than who you think you should be. Your preference for staying home isn't evidence that you're not living fully. It's evidence that you know what environment allows you to thrive and you're choosing it. That's not weakness. That's self-knowledge. That's not limitation. That's alignment. That's not missing out. That's showing up for the life that actually fits you. The world needs people who can be alone without being lonely, who can create depth in solitude, who prove that there are many ways to live a full life. Your quiet life isn't less than someone's loud life. Your home isn't a hiding place. It's your chosen place. Your preference for staying in isn't something to overcome. It's something to honor. Your experience of preferring home, as judged as it might be by others, comes from understanding yourself well enough to know what you need. And what you need is space, quiet, control over your environment, freedom from constant social performance. Those aren't excessive needs. They're human needs that you're finally allowing yourself to have. And you can continue building a life that reflects this. You can create a home that feels exactly right. You can form friendships with people who respect your limits. You can structure your days around your energy patterns. You can decline invitations without guilt. You can stay home on Friday night and know that you're exactly where you want to be. That's not settling for less. That's choosing what's right for you. That's not avoiding life. That's living it your way, not someone else's way. That's not being limited by your preferences. That's being freed by understanding them. You're not broken for preferring home. You're just honest about what works for you. And that honesty, even when others don't understand it, is what makes your life actually yours.